Anybody wants a copy of the check?
They can't even see the danger that they're causing. We're high, in the community. So, by the end of the day, taking more than 2.5 years around February. I'm on the executive day because I did 6 years about it. I know exactly who have to take and live on a space this small. It's torture. It's terrible. And I'm here today because there's so many people on the side are experiencing this every day. We're dying every day. We're not even. At one point, I was on the and I'm screaming. I'm fighting for people. I have to do this. That's what I do. Get down and told me I did it. I'll never forget. It's okay, I'll do it. No worries. I got you. Okay. Let me know.
Yeah, for you.
Not incarceration. We want education, not incarceration. We want education, not incarceration. Not incarceration.
We want education,
Not incarceration.
not incarceration. We want education,
Not incarceration. We want education.
not incarceration.
We want education.
Not incarceration,
We want education.
not incarceration. We want education, not incarceration.
All right, everybody, can I ask for folks to come into the center, please? Come to the street. We're going to do a round of check-ins. Come into the street, please. Unless you are part of the Justice Warriors for Black Lives, then stay up on the perimeter so you can make sure they don't fuck with us. Great. So, it's not every day we put up 100 jail beds. I need people to be a little bit more alert. Y'all act like this is nothing. So come on in. Come on in. Let's just take the space. How often do we get to take over the streets of LA? So I'm gonna just pass it over to Jada Raspberry. Let us know why you came out here today, who you are. We're just gonna cipher for a little bit. We're waiting on some media folks. We'll have a press conference. Obviously, when the doors open, we're going to have some people go inside the County Board of Supervisors and talk about why this issue is so important to them.
Hey, good morning, y'all. Yay! How y'all feeling? Get loud. What's up? Okay, well, my name is Jada Raspberry. I'm organizing director at Dignity and Power Now, and I'm also a member of Justice LA. I'm out here today because I did 6 years in Valley State Prison for Women, and I know firsthand what it feels like to actually sleep on one of these beds, to actually live in one of these spaces. It's torturous, it's shameful, it's embarrassing, it's a death trap. And I feel like the Board of Supervisors are so detached from their own humanity that they can't even see the dangers and the dangers and the mental illnesses that they're causing folks inside. You know, it took a lot for me to come out here today and sit on this bed, you know, but I did it because I'm the voice for the voiceless. I'm the voice for the folks inside who have no voice. I know exactly what it feels like to not have a voice, and it sucks. You know, I can see myself doing anything different. And to see all of us out here to support, you know, not building 2 new jails, it just warms my heart, because I never would have thought while I was inside that there were people who gave a damn about us by the way that we were treated. So I just want to thank all of you guys for coming out here and for supporting and for just being down for the cause and to say, fuck this, we need alternatives. We don't want new jails. We want alternatives for our communities, and we need help for our loved ones that are coming home. They don't need to be subjected to mental health conditions when you go into a space and you don't have a mental health condition and you come home with one. To me, that is the most fucked up thing. It is so sad, and it hurts. It hurts. And I just want to thank y'all. I'm just overwhelmed with emotions. I just want to thank y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jada. And thank you for just reminding folks why you show up and why we should be showing up. I'm going to actually pass the mic over to Paul, who's also been detained here in LA County, who's has been introduced to both systems. Our detention center system, don't get it twisted, that's also a jail, that's also a cell. When immigrants are detained here in LA County or across the country, we need to be having both of these conversations.
Good morning, everybody. I'm with the Youth Justice Coalition, here to support We're here to support humanity. We're here to support our people. All right, so our jail systems, when you make a bed, somebody's going to fill it. No ifs, ands, or buts. You build it, they will come. That's what they always say, right? If we continue to build, people will continue to come. Because we're investing in the wrong things. Because we're not investing in stopping crime. We're not investing in healing people. And when I talk about healing people, I'm talking about healing our communities. Healing our family members, our loved ones, our brothers, our sisters, our children. If we're going to build beds today, 10 years from now, our children are going to fill them. Our grandchildren are going to fill them. And you know what people fill them? There's victims. Somebody got hurt. Even if they say it's a victimless crime, the victim is the one that's in that bed because they weren't treated. They didn't get what they needed to keep them from going into these so-called victimless crimes. Right? So if we continue to build these beds, we're not investing in helping our people. And we can't do that. You know, I spent 17 years in these beds. Just like this. 17 years. Those are long years. I went in at a time when the system was treating juveniles as adults. I was 17. I got broke off. They told me to do a quarter century. You know, what is that? How are we treating our youth? And so I bring that story here to let you guys know that this is real. The public needs to know what they do. You know, the public lives and just sees crime, but they don't realize why this crime happens. You know, for me, my dad had died and I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have a youth center. I didn't have any jobs for me. I didn't have anything. I didn't have anywhere to go to find support, nothing. And how is a kid that's supposed to deal with losing a parent or losing a family member? That goes on in our communities every day, right? Our kids are losing family members for senseless things, for natural life things, accidents, you know, and then where do they go? Right? And trauma is not just in losing people. Trauma could be the things that happen in our schools. Trauma can be through getting pushed out. Right? So when kids go to school, they need to learn, they need to get educated, and that's what we need to invest in. We need to invest in a better school system, not a school system that's continually pushing people out. Right? You know, we need to build an education system that keeps our kids in, that don't make it easy for them to quit. All right? And I'll raise my hand. They made it easy for me to quit. I said, my dad died. I can't do this no more. They gave me a piece of paper, sign it, turn in your books. Goodbye. I mean, what is that? Right? What kind of system have they built for us? And so as a public, as a community, we're here because we want a better system. Because we don't want those things to continue on. And you know, because I was 17, tried as an adult, now I'm stuck in a deportation pipeline because of it. Right? And these things do happen. And it's harsh. That's harsher than the prison system. You know, when we talk about detention, immigrants fill detention centers every day. Right? And those are hard things. I've seen so many people in the immigration detention systems give up. Literally give up. Just because the detention system is designed for profit. So we can't continue to have our communities, our states, our local governments to continue to collaborate with that and continue to contract these beds out. It's destructive. It's state violence in different ways. And so I just want to leave you guys with that. I want to pass it on and let other people get a chance to speak. Thank you all.
Thank you, Paul, for keeping it real, reminding us why we're out here today. I want to pass the mic over to Bambi Salcedo, who is longtime organizer, activist here in Los Angeles, who's given us many gifts, who's also been directly impacted by LA County jails and now supports many of the women going through those jails.
What's up, beautiful people? I said, what's up, beautiful people? When I say people, you say power. People. Power. People. Power. People. Power. People. Power. People. Power. That's what I'm talking about. Give it up for yourselves, everybody. Come on. We deserve better. Give it up for yourselves. We gotta give it to ourselves, because if we don't give it to ourselves, those motherfuckers are gonna give it to us in a real way. In beds like this ones. And we don't want that. Do we want that? No! Do we want that? No! We are here to let them know that we're not gonna stand for their bullshit anymore. We are here, obviously, to send a message that construction of jails and prisons continue to minimize and denigrate our community. And we need to understand that this type of situations affect all of our communities. Trans women also get mistreated and fucked up because of the system that we have, the prison and immigration system that we have. So we need to also remember that. Las mujeres trans que han estado en la cárcel, que están aquí presentes y en los centros de detención, levanten su mano, por favor. Bueno, las que tengan mano libre. Varias de nosotras hemos estado en los centros de migración. Hemos sido abusadas sexualmente, algunas de nosotras. Hemos sido maltratadas. Hemos sido violadas de nuestros derechos. No nos dan los medicamentos que necesitamos. No nos dan los servicios que necesitamos. Y estamos aquí precisamente por eso. Para decir ya basta. Ya basta el maltrato de nuestra comunidad. Basta a las injusticias que la comunidad trans y la comunidad LGBT en las cárceles y en los centros de migración siguen experimentando. Así que I want to thank the organizers for, putting this shit together, because doing all of this kind of work is not easy. And I want to acknowledge that this is a collective effort. Can we give it up for the organizers? This is the type of stuff that we need to continue to do, because they are doing whatever they want to do. They're not listening to the needs of people. They need to listen. They need to understand that our lives are real, and whatever they do affect our lives. We need to be mindful of the things that they do, and we need to make sure that those who are in there or in any government position, they understand that they are there because we put them there. And just as we put them there, we can get them out of there. So they need to understand that they are there for the people. They're not there for themselves, and they're not to profit out of our people. So with that, I'm just going to say thank you everyone for being here. Please understand that we have power as a community. Do we have power? Do we have power? Do we have fucking power? Yes.
Yvette. Yvette, wherever you're at, Yvette, can you come to the front stairs of the County Board of Supervisors? Yvette, we're calling you. Yvette, we're calling you. Come here. Okay. So thank you, Bambi, so much for your life and what you bring, but also all the work that you do for all of us. I want to bring up one of the young pastors that we got here. You know, oftentimes we talk about, especially for us grassroots groups, that we don't get the type of support from the church. But this brother right here has been out and about for the last few years, rocking with us. And I want to make sure that we just take a moment. If you could lead us in a quick prayer. So many of us have been impacted by LA County jails, y'all. So many of us have either been inside or our loved ones have been inside. Some of our loved ones have died in there, have committed suicide, have been killed. And this has become LA's dirty secret, you know? And I want to hold space. I want to hold space for the trauma and the terror, the experience of trauma and terror going through this system, and how we literally have 5 County Board of Supervisors who get to make the decision whether we build more of these torture buildings or not. And so I just want to take a moment, if you can introduce yourself and lead us in a quick prayer, remind us Spirit, and remind us why we're here today.
How y'all doing? My name is Pastor Eddie Anderson. I represent LA Voice and McCarty Memorial Christian Church. And I want to remind you that the prophet that I follow, the Palestinian immigrant Jew named Jesus, said that the Spirit of the Lord was upon him to set the captives free, not to lock them up. And so, if you will, whatever is comfortable for you, I'm going to just say a prayer that God would give us strength to continue this fight, to stay in these streets, and to fight for freedom. Would you pray with me? Spirit of the living God, the God who sees and hears us, the God who saw the children of oppression in Egypt and said, I hear your cries. The God who said that there'll be wailing and lament in the street until freedom is in the gate. We pause right now, calling on your Spirit to empower us even more. Remind us, oh God, that we are sacred, that we are human, and we deserve better. We deserve freedom. We deserve good education. We deserve mental health care. We deserve food for our communities. We deserve jobs. And God, because we deserve these things, we say, not in our backyard, not another prison, not another torture chamber, not another place that pulls our families apart. But today we stand in power, declaring that we will fight. We will not give up, and we will proclaim freedom now, freedom today, and freedom forevermore in your name. So heal us, oh God. Strengthen us, empower us, help us always to be angelic troublemakers for justice. In your name I do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Ashe, y'all. As the crowd keeps coming, y'all, we got a crew of 22 high school students. Let's welcome young folks here coming through to support. Is Jonathan around? I want to bring Jonathan up from Immigrant Youth Coalition. Where we at? And Jonathan, just really appreciate Jonathan's leadership from the last I've known Jonathan for about 5 years, who's been challenging this idea of legality and who is illegal. And I think this is such an important conversation right now as we live under a national government who continues to embarrass us, who continues to rip families apart, who continues to say this is a law and order country and he's a law and order administration. Jonathan, the Immigrant Youth Coalition, have basically said, F y'all, we out here, and we're going to fight for our communities.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so we've been fighting, against deportation, against detention of immigrants, and every time, and we engage in this fight. We fight for people to get released. We see these connections, like connections we can't ignore. When you look at the pipelines of deportation, the biggest pipeline is the LA County jails. And not just in California, they're the biggest pipeline in the country. They have deported more people than Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who went to jail for racial profiling. But then we look at our sheriffs who are also in jail. These sheriffs who continue to target our communities because it's all about racism. I asked a reporter, and I asked, do you think if the 11 million people were white, they would be coming after them in this way? No, there'd be a disaster relief fund or something like that, and so for us, when we hear immigration raids happen, that they're going to target 8,000 people, 5,000 people, whatever, we know that the real raids that happen every day at the county jails. You have people that have served their sentence, have done everything they've been told to do in a corrupt jail system, that have survived it, and then they come out and ICE is waiting for them. So just think about that. Why don't we hear those stories? We don't hear those stories because we're made illegal. And I'm not just talking about the immigrant community. We're not the only illegal community here. You define an illegal person by what you deny them. So who is denied housing? Who is denied health care? Who is denied freedom? Who is denied their gender identity? Like, who are the people that are made illegal? And I think that's all of us right here. At the same time, we can't be apologetic. We have committed crimes in their system because they have criminalized everything we do to survive. Everything. And so from a undocumented perspective, I know that because of that system is built on a system of mass criminalization, any contact with any law enforcement, especially the sheriff, could mean deportation. And just think about that. What does it mean when you're black? You have to went through, is it deportation or death? Or am I going to get beat? Or am I going to be sexually assaulted? That's the things we're talking about here. We're talking about presenting a new vision that we've been fighting for a long time. Like, this is nothing new. We're tired. We're tired of being shot down. We're tired of being separated from our families, deported. And they come and they want to build more jails. For us, that means they want to deport more people and they want to kill more people, because that's what it creates. And so we're here in solidarity with all incarcerated communities, all communities that are made illegal, all communities that are fighting to just stay with their families and their loved ones. And so we ask the immigrant community to be in solidarity to when we're pushing for our rights as immigrants, that we don't criminalize the others, that we don't throw others under the bus. because it comes back. It comes back to the black immigrant community, to the trans immigrant community. It comes back to us. And so we're here to just declare that we need to be unified in who we fight for. And we need to fight for everyone. No excuses, no ifs and or buts. We fight for everyone.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I'm going to ask everybody on the sidewalk. I don't know why you on the sidewalk. We got the streets, so come on in. Join the team. Okay. And we have shirts for you, so grab shirts, put them on, come in the street. How often do you get to shut down the front of the County Board of Supervisors? Y'all take advantage. So we have been out here, and I just, come on, take shirt, join the team, hop on a bed. And I think, Jasmine, we're gonna start in a little bit, and we're gonna set up shop right here. We're gonna start our press conference. And so if I can have all the speakers for the press conference, if we can just stay close by, that would be great. Is Mark Anthony Johnson around, or is he inside signing people up? Mark Anthony, if anybody sees Mark Anthony, please tell him to come outside. Okay, Mark Anthony, come close. Mark Anthony, Bambi. Good. Jonathan. Yep, Jonathan, Bambi, Mark Anthony, myself, Jada. Great.
So,
Hey, can everybody throw their fists up for the thousands of people watching on the live stream?
So, I mean, I think for the visual, as many people as possible.
Yeah, if we can get as many folks behind us, the better. So,
Get a banner out here too.
all right, everybody, come on in. We're gonna start the press conference.
You bet not. Hi. You did. I got so many mics. Like, which one is yours? Is this one? I like
Come on, everybody, come on in.
I'm gonna squeeze in right before y'all start. People are standing behind me in a row. Appreciate it. You're welcome.
If you're not in. Okay, now for you guys watching, what you're seeing here is there's 100 jail beds in the middle of the street on Temple, at 500 Temple in downtown Los Angeles.
Not in front, get in front. Speak up, speak clearly, name, spelling, organization, in addition to justice, LA.
Back up a little bit. I'm gonna stand.
So just whoever's going to speak, come on.
And 2 minutes or less for each speaker, please.
Good morning, my name is Mark Anthony Johnson, MarkAnthonyJohnson. I'm the Director of Health and Wellness at Dignity and Power Now, and I'm also with Justice LA Coalition. So we're here today because this County Board of Supervisors has approved a $3.5 billion jail construction plan. that, as you can see, a broad-based coalition of community members, folks who have been inside those jails, folks who have loved ones currently inside those jails are saying that is the wrong route that this county should be taking. At a time where the county is investing in health, mental health care, in housing, it's talking about bail reform at a time where New York is closing down Rikers Island, where San Francisco is closing a jail. This county is moving in the wrong direction, a direction that is only going to harm generations of black people. What we're saying today, we are going to be walking into the County Board of Supervisors to tell them that they need to create a moratorium on this jail construction plan. We are calling for an immediate moratorium to jail construction while we implement a methodology that we have created, a methodology that the community has approved of, to look at how all of the reforms that are on the table right now will impact the jail population. We know it will impact the jail population. We know that it will reduce jail beds. How can this county invest in 2 new facilities and at the same time claim it's interested in bail reform? How can this county invest in mental health care at the same time build a mental health jail? That is a contradiction. And so we are here, this broad-based coalition, to tell the County Board of Supervisors today is the day that you implement a moratorium on jail construction, and we hear Justice LA calling for that. Today is the first step. We have installed these beds and have brought them to your doorstep. And we have speakers today to tell you more about why this moratorium is not a choice, it's not an option, it is actually the trajectory that this county needs to take. I'm going to bring up Patrice Cullors with Justice LA.
My name is Patrice Cullors, P-A-T-R-I-S-S-E, last name C-U-L-L-O-R-S. One of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, and here with the Justice LA Coalition. In the Los Angeles County Jail Plan, the word bed is mentioned 1,077 times. When the Los Angeles County Supervisors talk about building a jail, they talk about beds. Bed counts, bed types, mental health beds, substance abuse beds, medical beds, high security beds. Those of us that have been caged and have loved ones inside jails and prisons know that what they're really talking about isn't beds. It's black people. It's brown people. It's indigenous people. It's undocumented people, our friends, our families, our community members. The 100 replica jail beds we've created are far cry from the upwards of 6,000 the county is trying to build. We've placed them in the middle of Temple Street in downtown Los Angeles to show the stark contrast between beds and people. The 5 feet high, 6 feet long, 27.5-inch wide bunk beds made of raw steel and wood blocking traffic in front of the Kenneth Hahn should not be the subject matter among the Board of Supervisors today, just as the number of jail beds should have never been their topic. It should be flesh and blood. Human beings should be their topic.
That's right. That's right.
This visual is a plea to divest from the $3.5 billion jail plan and invest in health care, invest in youth centers, invest in education, career development, and other resources that benefit our communities and address the years of governmental neglect and fundamental conditions that have led to our harm. These replica jail beds are not hidden behind jail walls. We won't allow our County Board of Supervisors to simply write a bed count on a construction contract without fully acknowledging who is going to sleep in those beds. We won't allow our county supervisors to invest in our imprisonment rather than our communities. The Los Angeles County jails are a nightmare, and it's time that the supervisors decide who bed they're laying in.
Good morning. My name is Jada Raspberry. That's J-A-Y-D-A Raspberry, R-A-S-B-E-R-R-Y. I'm organizing director at Dignity and Power Now, and I'm also part of the Justice LA Coalition. Today we are here delivering 100 beds to the County Board of Supervisors in hopes of stopping the construction of 2 new jails in Los Angeles County. These beds represent trauma torture, embarrassment, isolation, shame, and death. By building these new facilities, the Board of Supervisors are saying state violence is okay. The total cost of these new jails will be $3.5 billion. That money needs to be reinvested into our communities and into healthcare facilities that will help people coming home from jails with mental health disorders, physical health issues, jobs, schooling, housing, and other needs that they may require. We are asking that the County of Los Angeles not build any more cages and reimagine what alternatives $3.5 billion can bring to our communities.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Paul Sok, P-H-A-L-S-O-K. I'm with the Youth Justice Coalition. And as a part of Justice LA, we're here to demand that we put people first. We're here to demand that you put our families first. We're here to say that if you build it, they will come. And so when we talk about they, we're talking about people of color. I spent 17 years on beds like this. I spent 17 years in cages, starting with juvenile hall, county jail, state prison, immigrant detention centers. It's very destructive. And it's the same story every time when I talk to people. How'd you end up in the system? Because I had problems I couldn't resolve. Because there was nothing out there for me. So when I was 17, I ended up in the system. I got treated as an adult. How do we treat this? Right? Do we treat them like they're super predators? Are we still in that dynamic these days? Youth are not like that. And I speak from my experience at a time when I needed help. There was no help. I went to the schools to find help. The schools told me, sign this paperwork, turn in your books, goodbye. What kind of help is that? We shouldn't be investing $3.5 billion in more jails and more beds. Talking about building a jail over some toxic dirt. We're talking about building a jail for women that takes them so far from their children, so far removed. How are these children and these mothers supposed to stay together? Right? So the state's talking about a form of violence here. Violence that we as a community can control by being out here. Right? And so we're out here and we demand that these things come to an end. We want our mothers to be able to stay with their children. That's right. We want our fathers to be able to stay with their children.
Yes, we do.
And when we're talking about building beds today, these beds will be coming in 10, 15 years.
Right.
Who knows how many more beds they're going to build then? How many more are going to come in 30 years? This at some point has to stop. It really has to end. And so when we talk about children, the children need the help. That's where the money should go. It should go to schools. It should go to youth centers. Something that I needed was just a trauma center. How do you deal with trauma in the community? Because most of the youth that end up in the system don't come from Beverly Hills. They come from LA. They come from Long Beach. They come from the east side, the west side. They come from areas that are just hard places. Because our families can't get out of those places because the system keeps us oppressed. Because the system makes it hard for us to leave those areas. When they're talking about building development, you know what? We can't go anywhere. And we're stuck. And when they talk about gangs, it's just people trying to stay alive and survive. And then we get criminalized. Right? I came at a time as a refugee to this country and our people stayed together just to stay safe. And then we got labeled as a gang. I mean, what is that these days? And I not only speak from experience having gone through the criminal system, treated as an adult when I was a juvenile, but because that happened, now I'm stuck in deportation proceedings. You know, that's super destructive. And I've seen so much of that on the tail end of things. People coming out of prison, you know, when you get released, you're supposed to go home, right? I didn't get to go home. I watched people go home on the day when I was supposed to be coming home from prison. I walked into another system. A system full of unknowns. A system where they don't even represent people. A system that this county board of supervisors has said, if you have a conviction under such and such, we're not going to offer you an attorney. You're going at it alone. We can't continue to exclude people. We need to include people. And so we're here to say that you include the community. Include our mothers, our fathers, our brothers, our nieces, our nephews. Right? The board of supervisors, you got nieces and nephews. You got mothers and fathers. You got brothers and sisters. How would you like it if we took them away from you? Think about those things. We're all people. We're all human. And we're just asking for human treatment for humans. Not degradation by throwing us in cells. That's not the way to treat people. That's very inhumane. And so we need something to fix, to help our people, And that's what we're here for. Thank you.
We're going to bring up Bambi Salcedo with the Trans Latina Coalition, who's also a part of Justice LA.
Yes, give it up, everybody. Well, first I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here. I am going to say my remarks in English very briefly because we have here a lot of the things that we want to hear. And then I will address my remarks in Espanol. I just want to, really mention about and echo what my predecessors have said about the system, the incarceration and immigration system that we have that continues to criminalize our community. And I'm speaking on behalf of the trans and gender non-conforming community. Yeah. We get criminalized simply for who we are. The system, the societal conditions that trans and gender non-conforming individuals live in this country are deplorable. We do not have opportunities. And it is the responsibility of the Board of Supervisors of Los Angeles County to provide those opportunities for the trans and gender non-conforming community of Los Angeles.
That's right.
And we're here, the trans community is here today in solidarity with the LA Justice Coalition to make sure that the Board of Supervisors ensure that trans and gender non-conforming communities and all marginalized communities here in Los Angeles get the support that we need, the social supportive services that we need. Buenos días a todos y a todas. Mi nombre es Bambi Salcedo y soy parte de la Coalición Translatina, una organización nacional que provee servicios aquí en Los Ángeles para la comunidad trans y las personas que no se conforman con el género. Estamos aquí en solidaridad y somos parte de la coalición LA Justice Coalition para hacerles saber a los supervisores del condado de Los Ángeles que no nos vamos a detener. Vamos a alzar nuestras voces porque nuestras vidas siguen siendo criminalizadas simplemente por quienes somos. Somos personas trans, somos personas humanas que necesitamos derechos igual que cualquier otra persona. Aquí en Los Ángeles hay el sistema encarcelatorio, es el más grande en todo el mundo y tenemos que reconocer eso. Una de las cosas que hace el condado es que tienen una unidad que es específicamente para la comunidad trans y gay en el condado, que piensan que con eso pueden solucionar las cosas. Y lo que deben de hacer es que debemos que invertir, tenemos que exigir que inviertan en la comunidad, que inviertan en la realidad de nuestras comunidades. Necesitamos vivienda, necesitamos trabajos, necesitamos educación. Todas esas cosas son las que necesitamos y estamos exigiendo que se hagan. Y no nos vamos a ir hasta que eso se... ¿Hello? Oh. Bueno, pues ya ni modo. Pero básicamente lo que estamos diciendo es que tenemos que, más que nada, enfrentar a las personas que hacen decisiones sobre nuestras vidas. Y es importante de que les hagamos saber a los supervisores que tenemos que recibir los servicios que necesitamos. Necesitamos vivienda, necesitamos educación, necesitamos empleo, necesitamos derechos civiles prácticamente. La comunidad trans y las personas que no se conforman con el género siguen viviendo situaciones definitivamente que no se pueden ni siquiera describir. Gracias a que tenemos coaliciones como de LA Justice Coalition, podemos enfrentar las situaciones que nuestra comunidad sigue experimentando. Thank you so much.
And our last speaker is going to be Jonathan from the Immigrant Youth Coalition.
It's Jonathan, Jonathan-Perez. We're here as part of the Immigrant Youth Coalition, an undocumented-led organization, because we understand that this is a larger issue of mass criminalization, in the way in which we're targeted. And so, for immigrants, most people think that they come and get us through raids in our homes, at our workplaces, but that's a myth. Actually, under this last administration, deportations and immigration raids actually happened from the county jails. So LA County has been responsible for deporting over 35,000 people. That's 10,000 people more than Maricopa County in Arizona, whose sheriff has been found guilty and jailed and, for racial profiling. So let's keep that in mind, right? That it takes racial profiling, right? That's one of the first steps. And so when you look at the immigrant community, we look at the statistics. For example, if you're a black immigrant, you're 5 times likelier to be detained and deported, and way likelier to be indefinitely detained, meaning you don't have a way out unless you can bail yourself out, which bails in immigration work differently, right? You can't just pay that 10%, you have to pay the amount in full. And so for us, like looking at over 35,000 people that have been deported through this county, we see that that's a direct pipeline. These beds, I've been in the same bed. When I was detained, I was first in a prison bed. First I was in a prison bed, then a detention bed. They're the same bed. The same people make them, the same people profit from them. And so for us, we're here because we're trying to propose a different solution. Something that doesn't just mean punishment, because we know that punishment has created a cycle of violence. We look at in Central America, where we created the gangs here in Los Angeles, we deported them and sent them to a situation where they had even less and created more harm. And now we have waves of people, children, families fleeing that violence because we, as Los Angeles County, said we're not going to invest in them. They're bad. They deserve that. They deserve to be deported. And who cares if they die? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about a lack of investment in this community. And so that's what we're here to fight for, is these $3.5 billion can easily go into anything else. Housing, healthcare, mental health services, because I'll tell you, if you don't have mental illness when you come out of these jails, you will. You will. And I think so we're here with these beds to represent the fact that these beds follow us. The depression, the PTSD, the insomnia, the anxiety, these things follow us in our daily lives, and then we get criminalized because we act on those illnesses, those conditions that have been created, those traumas. And so we're here to put a stop to that. We feel that this County Board of Supervisors can make a decision now in this critical moment where we can invest more in incarceration, more into the Trump administration's plans to further criminalize people of color. But I think we can say no, and I think this broad coalition of folks really demonstrates that. Thank you.
We're going to bring up Baba Akili with BLMLA.
My name is Akili, A-K-I-L-I. I'm with Black Lives Matters LA. LA likes to think of itself as a liberal and progressive city. But LA has the most murderous police force in the country, the LAPD. Yes. LA has the largest jail system in the United States. Yes. So it is not a center of liberalism or progressive. It is a center of oppression. And these 100 beds represent that oppression. Woo! We can find $3.5 billion to build more jails, but we can't find money for schools. Yeah. We can find money for Olympics, but we can't find money for parks. Woo! We can find money. We can find money to lock us up, but we can't find money to support us. Yeah. Yes. That is why we are here today. 8%. We are 8% of the population in Los Angeles. We are 30% of the populations in the jail. That's numerically impossible. How do black people have to pay more? And it's the norm in America. We have a district attorney who will prosecute to fill up these beds, but won't prosecute a police officer after 300 killings. That's why we have started a petition to hold Jackie Lacey accountable. And I'm going to ask all of you who have a phone to sign the petition right now. Go to bit.ly/BlackLivesMatters.BLM. Sign the petition. If we can find each other to build and do better, then we can hold these politicians accountable. We are going inside now to say to the Board of Supervisors, if you got $3.5 million, invested in the people, not these beds. Thank you all very much. Black lives, we matter here. 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 Sign the petition. Thank you.
Hey y'all, I just want to let folks know that over on the side of the BOS meeting, we have an altar over there set up for folks who have passed away inside the county jails. So please go over there and take a look. And also there's water over there for the youth and for the organizers. So right over here, there's an altar. Go check it out.
No more jails! No more jails! No more jails! No more jails! Never! No more jails! Not now! No more jails! No more jails! Say it! No more jails! Say it! No more jails! No more jails! No more jails! Hey! No more jails! No more jails! No more jails! All right! No more jails! 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 No more jails!
So I just stepped away so I could show you this visual. There are 100 jail beds in the middle of Temple in downtown LA. This is 100 jail beds. So we're here in downtown Los Angeles. We're outside of the County Board of Supervisors office. The Board of Supervisors are the people who decide for LA County, will there be more jails or not. They're also in charge of the sheriffs, I believe. So I think the group is gonna go inside.
With the bugs out here, I really feel like I'm in that motherfucker.
So the t-shirt says "Stop the LA Jail Plan," and the groups of people who are out here today are a huge coalition of activists across LA, including Black Lives Matter. And the coalition is called Justice LA Now, and it's the hashtag, and that's the Twitter. So you can follow those hashtags and stuff to learn more about it.
Sign the petition. Let Jackie Lacey know that she cannot go unaccountable for the 300 killings of people in Los Angeles and do nothing. 300 killings by law enforcement and no prosecution. Barely an investigation. PLMLA tap. All right. I decided the decision. Great. All right. Congratulations on the thing. What's going on? Because we don't want anymore. Jail. Jobs, not 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 jail.
So you can see the beds actually go a lot farther than what's immediately visible. There's 100
There's an action out here. What are we doing?
We are demanding that the resources that the county has, $3.5 billion, that they're trying to pour into more jails. LA County is already the largest jail system in the nation. We're demanding that those resources be poured into things that actually help the community. So we don't want any more spending on jails that lock our people in cages. We want $3.5 billion to go to good jobs, mental health resources, after school programs, and the things that really help our communities flourish. So we're saying no more jails. We're saying we want to prosecute killer cops, and we're saying we want justice for our folks.
Hi. How are you doing? Morning.
So we're trying to be sooner rather than later.
Good to see you too.
Let's start with housing. We're talking about investing $3.5 billion in jails, but we're not talking about mental health facilities. We're not talking about permanent supportive housing. We're not talking about those things that in fact make people safe. A $3.5 billion investment in more cages makes no one safe. but it does fatten the pockets of the fat cats. And it's important for us to be out here today to say there are community-based reasons and things and solutions that we could spend $3.5 billion on. So that's what we're doing here today. Today is just one day of many. We put beds out here today. We put bodies out here today. But we'll be damned if we allow them to invest our money in building more jails. Yeah?
Hey, now.
Hey, what up, what up, what up?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you too. Well, it's your man's day.
You know it.
You know it is.
So I think there's a line to go inside, so I'm gonna go, I guess, in the line to go inside. So what's happening right now is that people are going inside the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors meeting to speak out in public comments, to let the Board of Supervisors know they don't want more jails or even new jails. And if you're just joining us, there are 100 jail beds set up on Temple in downtown LA. I don't know if you can see them. I'll try to show you. right there. It's okay. So if you're watching, once we get inside, when the public comments start, if you could share the link to the live stream, that would be awesome. Thanks. So also happening right now is General Jeff, who's known as Mayor of Skid Row. He's currently on trial for assault and battery on an officer, resisting or delaying an officer, and he allegedly punched Najee Ali. So he is right now waiting for the jury to come back with their decision. And the jury was deliberating all day yesterday, and then one juror had to leave the jury. So today, starting about an hour ago, the jury started over with their deliberation. So we're hoping for not guilty verdict on all counts, because this is ridiculous. So after I'm done here, I'll probably go over to the courthouse 2 blocks away on Temple and sit with General Jeff and wait for the jury to come back.
Although I will say that I think that all this stuff, it's not so much this is going to be the thing that comes through.
Yeah, it's just like one part.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I think this.
So if you're just tuning in, we're live here at the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors. They're going to be hearing public comments today about the plans to build new jails. One of the jails that they want to build is a women's jail, which would be all the way in Lancaster, which is hella far. So that would really put a burden on families, children visiting their mothers. They also want to build a mental health jail, which to me is bizarre. Why, if people are incarcerated for mental health, why are they in a jail? So people here are saying that $3.5 billion for jails, they'd rather have that money be spent to prevent crime, to do things that prevent crime, like jobs, youth programs, things that help communities, not jails.
That's scary. Yeah.
So right now it looks like everybody's going like through the security.
Reclaim our lives, the jails are alive. Reclaim our city, the jails are shitty. Reclaim our lives, the jails are alive. Reclaim our city.
Have you been to San Diego? Yeah? It is extremely concerning. So before I started working with Coco, I was hotel organizer. Yeah, so you know, we did a lot of like actions with like around like different hotels and stuff like that. And so like just the week before I started working, I was out in San Diego, right in front of what's that hotel? It's right off of the freeway that kind of goes through downtown. You can use the